The Creed, First Truth continued. God, the creator of heaven and earth. The creation. These words of the Creed, creator of heaven and earth, signify that God made the heavens and the earth with all that they contain. Men cannot create, because to be able to make something out of nothing, one must be omnipotent. God alone can create, because He alone is omnipotent. God was not obliged to create the world. He created it because such was His will and pleasure. God created the world by His word alone, that is to say, by a single act of His will. The most perfect of God's creatures are the angels and men. The angels. The angels are pure spirits created by God to adore Him and to execute His behests. God created them in a state of grace and holiness, but they did not all continue in that state. One portion of them rose up in revolt against God and fell through their pride. God rewarded the good angels for their fidelity by confirming in their state of grace and giving them the happiness of heaven as their portion. The office of good angels is to praise God and execute His commands. The good angels, and in particular the guardian angels, watch over and protect us. We ought to respect the presence of our guardian angel and invoke his help in our temptations and dangers. God punished the bad angels by expelling them from heaven and in condemning them to the pains of hell. The bad angels seek to harm us because they are the enemies of God and are jealous of the eternal happiness He has promised us. The 6 days' work. God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. The picture represents God's work by means of 6 circles, showing respectively the creation of each day and God's attitude in His work. The first circle shows the first day's work, namely, God creating light. The second shows the work of the second day, namely, God creating the firmament and dividing it off from the land and water. The third shows the work of the third day, namely, God separating the land from the water and commanding the earth to produce all kinds of plants. The fourth shows the work of the fourth day, namely, God creating the sun, the moon, and the stars. The fifth shows the work of the fifth day, namely, God creating the birds of the air and the fishes of the sea. The sixth shows the work of the sixth day, namely, God creating land animals and making man to His own image and likeness. At the top of the picture, we see God resting on the seventh day and consecrating it to His own service. This rest is symbolized by the veiled sun and the luminaries of the night, the moon and the stars. The triangle, bordered by clouds, within which God is resting, signifies that all the 3 persons of the Godhead cooperated in the work of the creation. This cooperation is proved by the words, "Let us make man to our image and likeness." Genesis. Man. Man is a reasoning creature composed of a body and a soul. The soul is a spirit created to the image of God and joined to a body. Our soul is after the image of God, is that it possesses reason and free will and is immortal. It must be immortal since God in His justice could not reward virtue and punish sin except after this life was ended. God made the first man by forming his body out of the earth and uniting to it a soul which He created out of nothing. To create the first woman, He plunged the first man into a mysterious slumber, during which He took out one of his ribs and covering it with flesh, fashioned it into a body, joining that to a soul. Genesis chapter 2, verses 21-22. The first man was called Adam, and the first woman Eve. It is from them that we are all descended, and they are hence spoken of as our first parents. God put Adam and Eve in a place of delight, called the earthly paradise. Genesis chapter 2.